Welcome to This Explainer. Today we are unpacking an absolute cultural explosion. I mean, it's a topic that has completely taken over our social media feeds, dominated bookshelves, and let's be honest, probably influenced your morning routine at some point. Manifestation.
Oh, for sure. And whether you're a complete novice or someone who's deeply tapped into wellness trends, this explainer is built to give you a direct, clear understanding of what's really going on. We're going to break down the ancient history, the modern multi-billion-dollar market, and the actual literal neuroscience behind the phenomenon. So is it pure magic, or is it just the immense power of the human mind? Well, let's dive in and find out.
To wrap your head around just how massive this conversation has become, you've got to consider this staggering number, 600%. During the early, wildly uncertain days of the 2020 pandemic, Google searches for the term manifesting spiked by an incredible 600%. Right, because people were suddenly dealing with immense social and economic anxiety. We were all looking for a sense of control in a deeply uncontrollable time. But while the viral hashtags and TikTok trends feel incredibly modern and new, the core idea behind this concept, it's actually ancient.
Yeah, this idea isn't from some recent self-help bestseller he picked up at the airport. This is actually drawn from the Chandogya Upanishad, which is an ancient Indian spiritual text. It says, "You are your deep driving desire. As your desire is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny." It's a beautiful thought, right? And it perfectly illustrates the early roots of what's known in Vedic traditions as Sankalpa, basically a solemn, deeply focused intention. This ancient idea that your deep driving desire inevitably shapes your ultimate destiny, it goes back thousands of years. It really just goes to show how long humans have been trying to intentionally co-create their reality.
And the journey from those ancient texts to today's digital landscape is just fascinating. We start way back around 1000 BCE with the Indian Vedas, and then we jump to the Greek magical papyri around 100 BCE, which actually featured early rituals for prosperity and protection.
Fast forward to the 1800s, and you hit the New Thought movement in the U.S. Authors like Wallace Wattles were laying the literal groundwork for modern positive thinking. And then, boom, 2006 happens. Rhonda Byrne's book and film The Secret drops, sells over 30 million copies, and makes the law of attraction an absolute household phrase.
30 million copies is wild. And now, well, we're living in the 2020s era of TikTok trends and highly personalized AI manifestation apps. It's a complete cinematic evolution, from an ancient spiritual ritual all the way to modern digital virality.
Okay, let's dive into this a bit deeper. At its core, modern manifestation really splits into two distinct frameworks. On one hand, we have the law of attraction. This is the metaphysical idea that your thoughts emit these vibrations, and the universe literally responds by bringing you experiences that perfectly match that vibration.
But then, on the other hand, we have goal-setting psychology. Now, this is the grounded, cognitive behavioral reality, where clearly defining your goals actually drives specific, focused action. It's a lot less about cosmic magnetism and a lot more about creating a self-fulfilling prophecy through your own behavior and choices.
So, how do we separate the magical pseudoscience from empirically supported psychology? Let's play a quick game of true or false. Claim number 1. Thoughts emit vibrations that directly alter the physical world.
Scientifically, false. The scientific verdict is that there is absolutely no empirical evidence for thought vibrations independently altering external reality.
Okay, claim 2. Visualization changes the brain.
True. This one is completely supported by the proven mechanism of neuroplasticity.
All right, claim 3. The placebo effect is actually a form of manifestation.
Also true. Expectancy and belief create very real neurobiological changes in your own body. So, you might not magically pull a sports car out of thin air, but you are physically altering your brain's hardware.
And that actually brings us to the actual neuroscience behind this whole thing. Meet your brain's high-tech radar, the Reticular Activating System, or RAS. This is a network of neurons in your brainstem that essentially acts as a bouncer for your conscious mind.
Right, because we are bombarded with millions of bits of sensory data every single second of the day. If we tried to process all of it, our brains would literally short-circuit.
Exactly. So the RAS filters it all. When you set a clear intention, when you sit down and actively manifest a goal, you are essentially programming your RAS to tune in to specific goal-relevant opportunities that you would have otherwise completely ignored.
Let's move forward and see how this builds into real, tangible physical change. This brilliantly illustrates why visualization is so incredibly powerful. Mental rehearsal actually activates the exact same neural circuits as actual experience.
This is neuroplasticity in action, guys. fMRI studies confirm that when you vividly imagine an event, you are actively engaging your prefrontal cortex and your motor cortex. You're literally creating a physical neural blueprint for action before you've even moved a muscle. Actually, professional athletes use this exact technique all the time to improve performance.
So, if we take the magic out and put the hard science in, here is the evidence-informed anatomy of a truly effective manifestation loop. Step 1. Set a specific, clear intention to program that RAS we just talked about.
Step 2. Cultivate positive emotion. Why? Well, because positive emotions naturally amplify your belief and enhance your motivation.
But Step 3 is the absolute kicker.
Oh, for sure. Take aligned action. All the visualization in the world only works if you pair it with tangible steps. You have to meet your newly rewired brain halfway. Manifestation without real action is, well, it's just daydreaming.
Now, what's really fascinating about these methods is seeing how popular social media trends actually stack up against empirical science. Take the TikTok famous 3-6-9 method, where you write your desire 3 times in the morning, 6 in the afternoon, and 9 at night. The scientific validity? It actually works, mainly by supporting repetition, which drives that neuroplasticity we discussed.
Then there's standard visualization, which obviously has strong empirical support for neural activation. But look at the pillow method, which is just putting a written desire under your pillow before sleep. The science rates that as weak to moderate. I mean, it's a low-friction habit, sure, but without active emotional engagement and real-world action, it's really just a piece of paper sitting under your head.
Regardless of the method you choose to try, the business of manifestation is absolutely booming. Just consider the staggering financial scale of this market. We're talking about a massive global wellness ecosystem here.
Yeah, you have $14 billion in mental health and digital therapeutics apps. Then there's $4 billion in executive coaching, where average sessions can run you anywhere from $99 to $244, and another $3.3 billion in self-help publishing. Manifestation isn't just a quiet personal practice anymore. It is a multi-billion-dollar economic engine.
And the digital era has completely transformed how this is monetized. We've moved way past just reading a paperback book and have fully entered the app economy. Platforms like ManifestVision.ai or Quantum Leap are using AI-generated mind movies, custom narrations, and multi-sensory tools to deeply personalize the user experience.
Exactly. They are brilliantly blending behavioral psychology with subscription models to monetize our daily habits. Now, it's highly effective for building consistency, but it definitely shifts manifestation from being a free, internal spiritual tradition to a paid, external digital service.
Now, with all that money and hype involved, we really have to look impartially at the critiques. Because what are the potential harms?
Well, the research points to a few serious risks. When people adopt the strict belief that positive thinking alone controls absolutely everything, it can lead to wildly unrealistic expectations. And worse, a complete neglect of practical, medical, or professional action.
Right, and perhaps the most concerning critique here is victim blaming. If the core doctrine is that all outcomes are self-created by our thoughts, it can foster intense guilt and shame for completely random misfortune. It essentially ignores real systemic barriers and structural inequalities in society.
Add in the potential for financial exploitation from insanely expensive courses, plus the mental strain of toxic positivity, forcing yourself to suppress any negative emotions, and you can clearly see why psychologists urge a much more grounded, balanced approach.
Critics also frequently point to the misuse of science, particularly what's known as the quantum misinterpretation. You'll often hear claims in self-help seminars that quantum physics, specifically the observer effect, somehow proves that our thoughts directly manipulate macroscopic reality. But actual physicists heavily emphasize that the observer in quantum mechanics simply means an interaction that causes decoherence. It does not mean conscious human intention magically alters physical reality. The science just doesn't support the idea that your thoughts can directly manipulate macroscopic objects outside of your own physical actions.
So the crucial point here is that while the cosmic claims might not hold up in a physics lab, the psychological and neurological benefits of focused intention, gratitude, and goal setting absolutely do. Which leaves us with this final fascinating question to ponder.
Are we magically attracting our reality, or are we just finally training our brains to pay attention to it?
It's an incredible tension, right, between cosmic attraction and cognitive focus. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer on the mind, the magic, and the market of manifestation. Keep wondering, keep learning, and we'll see you next time.